Hello everyone, welcome to part 71 of my story. So after we're lifted off the lockdown for the George Floyd unarrest situation, we return back to the compound and it's business as usual. You know, we're trying to take care of everybody as fast as we can, trying to do everything that we normally did. Well, now we're being told that there's multiple cases coming from the FCI across the street, the medical facility. So now we're no longer allowed to bring any of our laundry over there for them to bring it inside and wash for us anymore. So now they're giving us this job that we're responsible for washing all inmates' clothing and bedding now. There's laundry rooms on both East and West Trinity. I'm living on East Trinity at this time, and so myself and another inmate, Armstrong, we're going to take on laundry for these. Now going room to room, asking them to place their laundry outside the door, and we're going to take their laundry down to the laundry room, and we're washing this laundry bag by bag by bag and returning it back to them and doing the same thing and the same thing and the same thing. And the one thing that I can say about the inmates at that time at FMC Carswell, they were so very grateful for anything that you could do for them. Like, they would ask us questions. Can you go ask staff this? Can you go ask staff that? Can you find out this? Do they know this? And, you know, we would go and ask staff, and if they had an answer for us, we would go back and we would tell them, because, you know, you're having limited access to phone calls at this point. Phone calls are 5 minutes. Emails, you're allowed to go into the email room, and they're giving you 2 minutes. So I remember our camp officer at this time, him and all the other officers that came from across the street that were supposed to be helping on the compound did absolutely nothing. They sit in the officer station with the door open with the AC on, and basically was telling us, go run the emails, go run the phones. If anybody give you a problem, you let me know and I'm going to take care of it. So at this time also, there's a lot of chaos going on with this memo that came out through the Attorney General William Barr at this time, and it's pertaining to CARES Act and home confinement. The guidance on it is completely off, and there's inmates who are being furloughed home and told that they won't be returning back to prison until the end of the pandemic. And there's a lot of mishaps going on where inmates are being sent home on furloughs and then told, we made a mistake, you're going to have to come back. So basically, organizations are now reporting across the board that, hey, it's a lot of misinformation out there. The people who should be going home through the use of home confinement via CARES Act are still waiting in prison and have not been released yet. So that was a case at FMC Carswell that was going on. And so there were multiple inmates calling into these media outlets and complaining about the situations. I remember a staff member telling us how dire the situation was on the inside, because there were multiple cases. There were multiple women testing positive. And I can only believe that there was multiple asymptomatic cases that they were not noting. And so at this point, they're saying that the women across the street are begging to take showers. And so I didn't understand that. I was like, what do you mean begging to take showers? Because, you know, in my room, we had a shower and we used it every single day, as many times a day as we wanted to. The water was free. Well, they had locked these women down and were now telling these women that they take a shower every other day, if not every other day, which was unbelievable. And later on in my story, I will tell you that I also experienced the same thing during the COVID lockdown. So for me, working as a sanitation worker, there was multiple jobs that this detailed. And as I told y'all before, one of those jobs was me having to leave the camp and go across the street to the FCI and completely clear the lobby, clean it, basically sanitizing it from top to bottom. And it was always very filthy and nasty and dirty over there when we went over there. There was always contract workers sitting at a table. They would sit there all day, because if I went over there 2 times a day, they were there and they were screening everybody who came over there by temperature checks or whatever. However, I came over there multiple times and they never screened me by temperature. But every day at the camp, before I can start my work detail, I was temperature checked, and I was taking multiple COVID tests at this time, which I dreaded. It was awful. The way that they would do these tests, I know they were fairly new, so they would go out and they would stick this long Q-tip up your nose as far as they can get it, and they would wipe it all around, and by the time they pull it out, you were in tears. So I dreaded that process. However, going across the street, I dreaded that even more, because I felt like, why are we camp inmates and we're having to go across the street to FCI and clean behind them? I understand they had zero movement at the FCI for the inmates over there, other than phone and email use, which they had in their dorms, which was totally different from at the camp. But at the same time, I felt like it was a potential that we were at risk of being exposed to COVID, just because there are multiple staff members when we go there moving in and out and around, coming in, checking in for their shifts, and also leaving out. And I remember coming back to the camp after doing the FCI front lobby trash call, which we would take their trash that could have been COVID infested, and we would bring it over to the camp and we would dispose of it. And I'm telling our camp officer, I'm tired of going over there. I don't like going over there to the FCI. None of us want to go over there, and we don't like doing it. And he said, y'all don't really want to do it? And we said, no. And he said, okay, guess what? I'm going to call him and tell him y'all not going back. And we were so happy that he had made that move, because we did not like going to the FCI. So at this time in the pandemic, CNN and multiple media outlets are reporting on FMC Carswell. It's basically seeming like it's a state of emergency, in which I didn't understand, because I was at the camp and I wasn't at the FCI, the medical facility across the street. That was exactly the case. There were multiple cases of COVID that were going unreported, and there were multiple people who were falling ill to COVID, including staff members bringing it into the inmates. Well, at this point, CNN is basically talking about this Andrea Circleback case and the Miss Kincaid's case, and now the third death of Miss Teresa Ely. Teresa Ely was a 51-year-old mother who had been in federal custody since September of 2007. She had a nearly 252-month prison sentence, and now the only way that she left prison during the pandemic was she escaped it by death.